Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Today we have with us the Chairman of Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, Mr. Pramod Deo, who will talk to us on various issues concerning the power sector. Welcome to our show, Mr. Pramod Deo. I will start with the opening question about your recent order, which has allowed some of the private power developers some compensatory mechanism on account of imported coal, in this case from Indonesia, where because of some changes in Indonesian laws, the cost of coal went up. Now, could you share some aspects of the order with us? What exactly is your intention in that order?
Well, as you know, this Tata's Mundra project, ultra mega power project, which is based on imported coal. And at the same location, Adani's also have a project, which is not an ultra mega project, but it's a large project. Again, they had to import coal from Indonesia. And both the players had some stake in coal mines in Indonesia. And based on those calculations that since you own coal mines and you have a stake, you would be able to have a control on the coal. So they had quoted, and these are the 25-year long bidding documents, for that you have quoted certain price. And when they approached us, and obviously they have been trying to sort out this matter at different levels, and then they came and said that
because it's taken a long time for them to sort out this matter with the government, right?
Government, because they tried to go to government, and there are 5 governments involved in case of Tata's. Okay. There are 8 buyers.
Okay.
So naturally, it's very difficult, and nobody really wants.
Because the buyers have their own position.
Yeah. And the important thing is that what Indonesia did is that whether you own a coal mine or not, simple thing is if you are using that coal, it has to be sold at the international price, which will be notified by Indonesian government month-wise. So depending upon the calorific value, grade of coal, the price is fixed. So which itself sudden jump in the cost for that. But obviously on the other side, since they have a stake in those coal mines, their sister concern will be making more money.
Yeah, so they will be gaining this thing. The extra cost that they pay will be gained by that.
So the plea was that the financial equilibrium of the power project has been disturbed. Okay. So, and it will be very difficult because anyway 70% cost is fuel cost when you run any power project.
But why can't they transfer the surplus from their joint venture, their own company, into their power project here?
Well, it depends upon what kind of a corporate entities they have, what kind of relationship they have.
Okay.
So when they came and all this thing, so what our order says is that, okay, we have suggested a panel should be appointed involving obviously the seller, buyers, and then a reputed banker and a financial analyst. And they should work out that how that gain of that coal mine, part of you can't transfer all, whatever is the coal which was earmarked for that, to that extent could be transferred here. Okay. Second possibility is also that you can use inferior coal, subject to whether your boilers can take that such low grade, because there is always a technical limit. So that also you could save. And third possibility is there is a commitment to sell 80%, has to be your efficiency plant load factor. Anything over and above that, obviously the buying states have a first right of refusal. But if they are not buying, if you sell it in the market, so on that also you will earn higher. So if you take all these equations together, and it will be a very dynamic equation. So based on that, if you can work out a formula, so that panel could do that.
The panel could do that. So here I'd like to just raise one question, which is the buyer of power. Ideally, policy should balance the needs of the producer and the consumer. So the buyer of power here, which is the Gujarat Distribution Company and the Haryana Distribution Company, they are saying that that compensatory mechanism for unforeseen increase in the cost of coal, imported coal, may be looked at. But the company is also claiming as per their submission to the CERC, the costing submission, they're also claiming protection for exchange rate. For instance, when the bidding happened in 2007, the exchange rate was 45 rupees to a dollar. Now they are claiming 55 rupees. So exchange rate should be the risk of the producer of power. In the name of Indonesian laws, you can't ask for exchange rate correction, isn't it? Is that a valid argument?
Well, I don't want to get into that because when
The committee will go into
committee will go into that, and
Yeah.
when we issued this also, we took cognizance of the change in Indonesian law. We did not take the exchange rate.
Exactly.
explicitly.
Yeah. In fact, I saw the order. Order only talks about Indonesian law. Order says nothing about the exchange rate. Yeah.
And this after this panel has come to some conclusion, they had to come back to us.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will. So that what is we are called is as a compensatory tariff.
Okay.
So that compensatory tariff will be decided, and it is going to be dynamic.
Dynamic. Yeah. Sure. We'll take a small break here. Please don't go away and keep watching Rajya Sabha television. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are having a conversation with the Chairman of Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, Mr. Pramod Deo. So you spoke about this compensatory mechanism, and you're very right when you say that you have asked a committee to look at all these financial issues, the details, and after that they will come back to you, and then you will examine the legitimacy or otherwise of some of the claims made by these companies. I am on the broader question now of the entire system that we have evolved, policy system where these projects have a gestation period, and how do you ensure that in this gestation period, say 5 years, starting from your acquisition of land, etc., and import of equipment, changes happen, all kinds of changes happen. How does policy accommodate all these changes that happen in a big power project, and then give whatever is legitimate to the power producer and whatever is legitimate to the consumer? I mean, how do you draw this balance?
See, we have a very good example. Like we have been following cost plus return formula. That was the NTPC. All the projects have been constructed on that, and even for private sector, it was the case. But when the new law came and the tariff policy came, competitive bidding was introduced, and NTPC also was given a 5-year holiday. And it's from now January 5th January 2011, NTPC also has to go for a competitive bidding. Now we did a study. CRC went into that, and what we found is that this cost plus return, there are always these add-ons. What this comes as the additional capitalization. And
this has been experienced even in the other sectors, gas, etc.
everywhere. So
where correctives are being taken.
And we also had the data of the competitively bid projects. So obviously we found those prices came out much lower, and that's why we recommended, because there was a strong opposition from government companies that they should be allowed to continue under the old regime. But we said, no, this should not be done. But now there are certain indeterminate factors. What has happened is the fuel. Fuel is the main thing. As I said, that in any power plant, 70% plus is the cost of fuel. So now what do you do if this fuel, say Coal India, has fallen short of production, which is needed to meet the needs of these power plants? Then they are saying that you can import coal. And that's why we come to this issue, what do we do? As far as gas is concerned, there is actually no solution. There is no gas. Simple thing.
At least coal can be imported.
Imported.
And therefore all these problems.
Gas also can be imported. But if you see the cost of the LNG, liquefied natural gas,
it's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
$14.
So what do you do with that? So now, under a cost plus regime, NTPC power plant has this comfort. They can ask their buyers, do you want this expensive power or not? If they said they don't want that expensive power, then obviously the NTPC need not buy that fuel, but NTPC's fixed cost will be recovered as long as they are meeting the certain normative parameters. But in the competitive bidding, such as has been done, that comfort is not there. So we are dealing with this kind of a issue where we had really no control. Now that's why this concept of pooling the cost of coal came.
Okay.
That Coal India should do that. Now Coal India obviously has no experience of importing coal.
Importing
It's not pooling. Pooling is something which is a mechanism.
Yeah, import and then pooling. Yeah.
Then pooling. So and the import means Coal India says we have never imported coal.
Yeah.
And another problem comes is that the coal-rich states, that's where many of the power plants are located because those are the pithead power plants. So they said, why we should be burdened for this imported coal cost? Because it is all right for any.
But is this pooling is a done policy now, or is it cabinet has not cleared it yet?
No, it has not been cleared by cabinet because this is something.
What is the CERC view on pooling? Because so the logic behind pooling is that Coal India gives a coal linkage to some power plants at a certain price. Now imported price is much higher, so that creates a discriminatory regime. You know, some power plants get coal at price X from Coal India, and the others get imported at X plus Y. So isn't that the idea that everybody should get, once you pool it, everybody gets it at one price?
No, see, there one standard bidding document revised, considering many of these issues, was floated for discussion by Power Ministry, and our views were sought. So I am referring to that, and our reviews are available on our website. And what we suggested that is that looking at how the NTPC manages, in this case, only way seems to be that you allow them to import coal, and then the states will have to buy. Because in this case, you don't have that comfort that the fixed cost will be allowed to be recovered. Because since it is not a fixed cost and the variable cost, it is a one number.
One number, yeah.
So that's what could be done till the problem gets sorted out, till we reach that. Now, the similar approach, if we want to extend, could be that those plants which had to import coal, and obviously they have boilers which can take imported coal. That is also important, we have to consider that. Then they will run so that there will be no shortfall in generation target, and they will be able to meet that. But then the additional cost will have to be paid by the buying states. Buying distribution companies. But the question comes is that how do you determine what price they bought? You can't get into the accounts of these private players. So one of the possibilities is that you just bring out the indices. For domestic coal, obviously the Coal India, the administered price, but for imported coal, there is a imported coal based on.
You take the international price and add cost insurance freight.
What we do is we bring out those indices. So the indices should be the norm. So that could be one solution. But I think still no decision has been taken. So there are various options being worked out, which is really not our domain.
It's not your domain. Sir, there's another interesting question that comes to mind. Now, you have asked a special committee to examine in detail the claims of all these power producers who have been hurt by higher import costs, coal costs, Indonesian coal. Now, the price itself is fluctuating, the imported coal price. Now, because of the big shale gas recovery in the US, energy costs are coming down. Oil prices are down to 99. Coal prices have also corrected by about 20%, over 20% in the last 5-6 months. Now, when some of the power companies like Adani's, when they came to CERC with a petition, the coal price was at one level, but now it's much lower. So when this committee examines their claim, they will obviously take the latest coal price, right? They can't be taking the coal price as it existed at the time they came in a petition with you, right?
In fact, in our order, we have said that this is a temporary phenomenon. And it has to be dynamic. It has to be completely related to the prices. As the prices come down because of the various factors, because the oil market and the coal market, there is a linkage.
There is a linkage.
So if that happens, then that has to be adjusted. It is not going to be a fixed number. It is a number which will keep changing. And we would rather say that this kind of a panel should be like a standing panel.
Yeah, it should be a standing panel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which will on a continuous basis assess the dynamic changes in the world prices as it assesses the compensatory mechanism. Right?
Or there is also another possibility.
Are you suggesting that the compensatory mechanism itself should be a permanent kind of panel?
Well, that is for them to decide. It's not that they have to keep meeting every time. They could meet every 6 months and then review what is happening.
We'll take a small break here. Please don't go away and keep watching RST. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are having a conversation with the Chairman of Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, Mr. Pramod Deo, on the present crisis of coal linkage, lack of coal supplies to India's power sector. Mr. Deo, now what is the situation today? How many megawatts of power capacity are waiting for coal linkage or coal supplies either from CIL or imported coal? I see varying figures, 40,000 megawatts or 60,000 megawatts. How many megawatts is actually waiting for coal linkage?
Well, we also don't do this monitoring. It is the Central Electricity Authority which does, and Ministry of Power. So they would have the figures because we also get that. So I think.
What's your rough sense?
No, what has happened is that for the power plants which are under construction in the 12th plan, already they had some coal linkages, but those coal linkages because of shortages have been changed. You are told that now you will be given only certain percentage, and for the coastal plants, they have been told that original linkage itself will be only 70% and further reduction. So those are the problems. Now for the longer this thing, coal linkages will depend upon as new coal mines are developed and all those issues about environmental clearances, and based on that whether they will get the coal linkages. That's the situation.
So doesn't the CERC have a mandate in its original terms of reference to actually be more proactive and push policymakers to ensure that there is enough electricity available for consumers in various parts of India where we still have only about 7-8 hours of electricity. Even states like Tamil Nadu, which were considered, even today considered developed state, today doesn't have more than 10 hours of electricity. Do you think there is CERC can do something about this?
Well, if you ask me, the CRC's ambit is limited to anything interstate. And under that interstate, obviously, we can give advice, and we have been giving advice.
And you've been also holding meetings of state commissions, etc., right?
That is a different role. That is what we call as a forum of regulators, which is a statutory body where all the chairpersons of the State Regulatory Commission are members. And there I am not a chairman CRC, I am chairman of FOR. And what we try to do is harmonize regulation, discuss our experiences.
But what about advice to policymakers in states and all?
FOR also gives advice. It's not that we don't. In fact, this whole business about the states not revising the tariff, it was started by FOR. Because FOR did a study of 10 states, and our findings were very revealing and startling. And based on that, we sent a report to FOR, it was not CRC, saying that this is what is happening, that some states have not revised tariffs for last 7-8 years. And based on that, the Appellate Tribunal on Electricity took cognizance of this report, and then they started now monitoring. So result is that now all the states have revised their tariffs. This year also, they are on their way to revising. Some states, already 7-8 states have come with their tariff revision. And then after that, this new package which has come, rehabilitation package, there are certain conditionalities.
Three-way, the state electricity boards, RBI and this finance ministry, that's the one you're talking about, right?
That's what they're talking, that 50% of the loan will be taken by the state governments and 50% will be adjusted and the bonds will be issued. But more important is that the ministry has also asked FOR to frame a draft law on the lines of the fiscal responsibility bill, So this is going to be
that's very interesting. Yeah.
because the idea is that the states will be encouraged to pass similar bill for their states.
Okay.
Because this will have a statutory, because the past experience is when you have all these conditionalities, enforcing those conditionalities always becomes difficult. So give it a statutory.
Okay. It'll be like Electricity Payment Responsibility Act.
It's not only electricity payment, it is a bigger thing. So it is how to responsibly run your distribution business.
Yeah.
And since it is owned by government, that's why all this problem has come because of that.
So you're hopeful that this present mess where state electricity boards, as you said, because of not revising tariff for years, are on the verge of bankruptcy. Of course, now have been rescued by this tripartite agreement between the electricity boards, RBI and the centre. This exercise will lead to some positive outcome and can be sustained with this legislation that you're talking about, the responsibility, fiscal responsibility.
On the lines of that. That's what will help. And also the fact is that it's not that all the states are in such bad shape. We are looking at 7-8 states. That's where the discussions are going on. Others have been doing revision. And once you have been revising tariff regularly, then you find that there is no tariff shock.
Okay, there is no tariff shock,
Because
like we had in the case of oil. Suddenly you don't revise tariff and suddenly one day you say 10 rupees on petrol or something.
Tamil Nadu is a very good example. For 8 years they had not revised tariff. So first time when they went for revision, it was 36%. And they will have to continue to revise it.
Which are the states you're talking about which are seen as not having revised tariffs for years?
Well, I won't like to name all, but there are some very prominent players.
Which are the prominent ones?
Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, UP is one.
UP, yeah.
These are the ones. Haryana also had not revised properly. And the question is that whether the revision covers all your cost. Because you cannot run any commercial business if you are not able to cover your cost. And other important thing is that the states have a right to give subsidy to a particular category of consumers. And what the law has provided, that subsidy has to be paid upfront. And many states have not paid the subsidy promise. So that also is going to affect the financial health.
So it'll be a bit like Electricity Finance Responsibility Act.
That's right.
It's a fiscal reform in the electricity space, right?
Yes, that's right.
So are you in the process of formulating this legislation?
We have prepared a draft, and we will obviously be taking it to our Forum of Regulators meeting. But we have given one draft to Ministry of Power also.
And how are the state governments responding to this? I hope they are not complaining that this interferes with their federal autonomy.
No, we are not making a federal law which will be applicable to them. They will have to adopt.
Each state will have to adopt.
Each state will have to adopt that.
So there will be a competitive pressure on each state to adopt, because some states will adopt more easily because they are already being very responsible, right?
That's right.
Then other states will be forced to
do that.
And so one last question, do you feel that there is no dearth in availability of electricity on a national basis, but because there is a lot of surplus electricity in the north and there is no grid connection between north and south, therefore south is very deficit today. Is that a problem?
No, it is not that we have a surplus electricity. We still have an energy shortage of 7% and
about 7-10%, is it?
And the peak shortage of 8%.
But there's no base shortage, right?
No, the shortage is again one thing you have to realize. In no state, agriculture is supplied power for more than 7-8 hours.
Okay.
Because if we cannot do that, and we have many states where the share of agriculture is very large. So that being the case, there is already a demand management. The problem which has come is the southern region was not connected to the national grid. Because we have a national grid which we call the new grid, north, east, west, northeast. And southern region, at that time it was decided that maybe it is too risky. But now the decision has been taken, and by beginning of 2014, it will be connected. And in fact, the power minister is personally monitoring this progress. So once that is done, the transfer capability will increase.
And so finally, this whole exercise that you have undertaken after this order on making imported coal like viable, now will this then lead to other companies like Tata's and several others also coming to you and seeking some redressal from the compensatory mechanism? Can they directly go to the committee that you have created, or will they come to you and then be referred to the committee?
Our jurisdiction comes in case of interstate.
Interstate, okay.
There will be also some cases where the bidding was only intrastate.
Okay.
So there will be state regulatory commissions who have to decide.
Okay.
And even in our jurisdiction,
On whether the pass-through should be allowed to them.
that this to be decided on case-by-case basis.
Case by case basis. Okay.
We can't say that everyone is giving that. So this is not one committee.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe you have a model, but one will have to see whether this model is applicable or not.
Okay.
What were the circumstances?
Okay. So this committee is specific to this order.
Yes,
right?
for each project we have said that this committee.
Okay. So that means they, for each, if some others have a similar issue, you'll probably have to set up a separate committee to look at those issues, right? That's what it's.
Because these two cases it was imported coal.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for talking to us, Mr. Deo. That's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back again with you soon. Thanks for watching.